Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. My name is James Batchelor and thank you very much for joining us for these live broadcasts on the Car Dealer Magazine YouTube channel. Now today on the show, I am delighted to say we've got Alain Descat, the Managing Director of DS Automobiles in the UK on the show. Hello, Alain.
Well, good afternoon, James.
Good
afternoon. Thank you for having me.
And
congratulations for the pronunciation of my name. You know, I think you've done better than most.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there we are. My GCSE French teacher will be very happy with me. There we are. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It's delightful to have you on. Now, just for a bit of background for our viewers, Alain took the helm of the burgeoning French premium brand in the UK in 2018. He's been a PSA group man since 2001. He doesn't look it, trust me.
Thank you.
Prior to arriving in the UK to lead DS, Descat was DS brand development director for Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Now, we're going to be on the air for the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. If you've got a question you want to put to Alain, then please do drop it into the comments box below, and I'll do my best to ask it to him. Okay, right, Alain, let's get started then, shall we? Can we start, if we may, with your news last month about you embracing the virtual arena with your virtual showrooms? Absolutely.
No, thank you that you picked this up. I think, you know, we've gone through, and we are still actually suffering from quite an unprecedented crisis. I think that's probably the right way to put it. And we had various programs on the go. And when we were all locked down, actually trying to see how we could continue to deliver on customers' expectations, which are to discover DS. And it's valid for all car brands when you want to, you know, purchase your next car or so basically what we looked at is how can we deliver that quicker and in a more efficient way. And so we came up with the virtual showroom proposition, which so basically we have an expert who is next to our E10 car, so that's our electrified range of models, and who is able to anytime deliver a live presentation to you as a customer. So right from your sofa, you can basically ask any questions you want to our expert. He will take you into the car, will show whatever feature you want to discover. And so that's been very successful so far. We've got a very high satisfaction rate that we measure out of this experience. We see that customers are really engaging with a lot of detailed questions, like, you know, they want to fit something specific in the car. So it has a really strong impact in the way we are able to reduce the threshold for customers to discover DS. And I think as a new brand, as you remember, so we launched DS as a standalone brand in 2015 already, and then we put to market the first DS, let's say born DS vehicles, which is the DS7 Crossback, and then the DS3 Crossback, and today we are now launching in the market our electrified range, so which we call E10s. We have to explain and demonstrate what DS can deliver, right? And part of what we deliver is unique, and it's the French luxury know-how that we embed into our vehicles. So you have the quality of the leather, which is unique. You know, I think, I don't know if you did visit yourself the Saddler workshop you have in our design center in Paris, but we have a Saddler workshop, which is quite unique for a car brand. So we need to demonstrate the little details, you know, the guillochage, which is the way you push the metal, which is embedded into various metal parts in the car, the clock that revolves when you start the engines. So all these details require for you to experience them. And so we want to be able to do that. So when the customer goes to our retailers across the UK, so they're already very well prepared, and then the quality of the interaction is at its best. So yeah, very happy about that first step.
It sounds great, and I agree with you. You know, a big part of a new DS is seeing the craftsmanship and the design details. But particularly with DS, though, could you envisage, or are you planning on offering a totally end-to-end online service where people can buy purely online, or are you trying to put people push people into the dealerships to actually experience the product firsthand?
So I think we need to do, I think, both. I think today the way we approach selling online as a whole, right? I think it's a must do, because we've seen that across various sectors, and again, it's been enhanced in the last month, where I think you've been, as I've been, probably going online a lot more for a lot of things you wouldn't think you would buy online, right? So I think as an industry, we are all moving towards that. The point in there is it doesn't have to undercut the retailers, which is an important part in the way we've built the program, because so what we are constructing right now is to make sure that every customer journey moment, if you want, that we are doing offline, we should be able to do it online, because that's the customer choice, right? I'm a believer that the customer would most of the time want to go to a retailer to feel, feel the car for himself, test drive the car as well, or have the safety of, being in a showroom, so showing that there is brick and mortar behind, the mechanics of the car. So that's what we're working on. We're trying to step by step improve this whole process, but we've got our dealer partners on board.
Now, when the first Citroën DS models appeared in the UK about a decade ago now, a lot of Citroën dealers had an area of the showroom dedicated to Citroën DS models. And over the years, that has changed to full-on DS salons.
Yeah.
How is that plan going? I mean, how many sites have you got now? Have you taken all of those sites out of Citroën dealers into the separate sites? How is it going?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that question, because with DS, it's been let's say a core transformation project, to put it, in a bit technical terms. But you remember that actually in July 2018, we split the DS network from the Citroën network, because, as you rightly mentioned, we launched the DS3, DS4, DS5, which were Citroën model as let's say the upper part of the Citroën range. And when we decided to create DS as a standalone brand, what standalone means also a separate, retail experience. So we terminated our contracts with our Citroën network, and we only open new franchises, if you want, into the areas where there was a premium market potential, which we had identified was worth the investment of a given retailer. And we started to have our new format of showroom. And I think one thing, as we've been learning across, as we go. And one of the learnings is we started by doing a corner within a Citroën showroom. So we offered to the Citroën retailers, who were our partners of always, to have a simple solution, which would be, and less costly than at the time, which would be to have a DS dedicated space within their Citroën showroom. We call that a DS salon, right? Which is a very good setup. The drawback of it is that from the outside, it stays a white Citroën showroom. You enter for Citroën, etc. So when you are at the same time working hard to split DS from Citroën, you have totally new products with a totally new identity. You need to have also a more separated way of displaying your cars to your customers. So what we've done is the first thing we've done is we've upgraded, so to speak, some of these DS salons by adding a black, in the outside, adding a door wherever it could, increasing the separation with the Citroën showroom, to be in line with our customers' expectation that they expect it to be at DS in a premium brand in a different way. Right? In parallel, we also have created a new concept for smaller showrooms. So that used to be the salon. Now we have a smaller store, which is totally separated to the brand that could be next door. And today, all the investors in car retail are trying to optimize their square meters, and they have different brands next to each other, and that's perfectly fine. So we have created a small store concept, which allows you to have two cars. We have what we call DS Virtual Vision, which is a 3D experience set up to discover all the rest of the range, but it's fully DS from the outside. And next to that, we also always have had what we call the DS store, so the bigger retailer, where you will have 5 to 6 cars, which we basically open in the bigger cities. So in the UK, we are, to give you an example, in the next month, we are opening 4 dealerships. We have one in Chiswick in the roundabout in London, which is a big DS store. It will be our flagship, so but London deserves a store. We have in Leicester as well, and I empathize with them because they were about to open and got into lockdown again, which is really a shame for everybody living in the area. But so we will be in the next coming weeks opening a new store. And we also have opened recently in Carlisle, which is a smaller area, but this small store concept, which at some point I would invite you to visit. So we've adjusted, if you want, our retailer format, being pragmatic, allowing for smaller showrooms, and we're still thinking about how we should adapt our retail formats going forward, because it's a moving, it's always a moving environment. So I think we don't need to be dogmatic. We need to be flexible and try to find the right way. So yeah, we're still very agile with it. So today we have 35 retailers in the UK. Yeah. And then we plan to continue to grow. Obviously, the recent events and I think the uncertainty about the market, Brexit still looming, is not an easy one for short-term commitments. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, with more people doing their research on the internet, and they're using virtual showrooms, for example, as we move forwards, are dealerships going to have to be more, destinations? Are they going to have to offer a different experience? Because if things are so easy at home, you've got to give a reason for a customer to actually go and visit a retailer, haven't you?
Yeah, totally agree. And I think it's a change of mindset from the big, I would say cathedral. Maybe it's a big word, right? But if you look at those big showrooms that were built at a certain given time, I think now we are going towards a real strong brand experience, which has to be totally complementary to what you can do online. So I'll give you an example of something which is available today. We have this DS virtual vision, which is basically a seat. You sit on a car seat, a DS car seat, and you have a 3D setup, goggles, which enable you to discover the car in perfect 3D. It's the same design as the same files as the designer used. What you can do is you can go online, you can do your configuration, and then you can go into the showroom and experience your configuration in total immersion. So that's an example of how you bridge your online experience into the offline, because so it has to be both and they have to be complementary. I think another way to answer that question, and which we are working on with our retailers, is to expand the services that they deliver. The same way as a manufacturer, we are transforming ourselves from delivering products to delivering mobility services, right? They have to do the same. So that first steps towards that is obviously to expand towards rent. So we are about to launch a program which is developed by our Free2Move lease, which is our internal leasing structure. So which will empower a DS rent program to be able to rent a DS from a DS retailer, and that would allow our retailers to also improve the turnaround of their demonstration courtesy car fleet. We are looking at various services, subscription services, etc. So it's about innovating in services and innovating into the retailer experience, with cutting off from the traditional, I think, setup, which is a lot of cars and nothing else.
Well, that leads me on to my next question, really, which was about subscription roles. And really, DS seems to be a perfect brand to offer a subscription service, especially with your electrified products, because it allows people to change between cars when they feel right to, and when they feel happy to. And it also allows people to experience how different a DS model is to a rival product in a short space of time, doesn't it? And at the present moment in time, it's about offering mobility services to customers. Those days of having a customer for life we're perhaps moving away from those days.
I totally agree with that. I think overall, I mean, your last point is, I think, is the right one. The long-term vision is that we are moving out of ownership, classical ownership, into various solution of using a car for a period of time and reducing all the hassle of everything you need to do with the car. So putting an insurance on it, the servicing, etc. So, and for us, it's all the more relevant as we are a new brand. So we want to lower the threshold of being able to discover our brand. So yes, indeed. So we are working again with Free2Move Lease, which is the brand to operate that into a subscription model. So it's work in progress. So hopefully we'll have some of our own soon. And in parallel to that, we're also partnering with some of those players in the market who are offering subscriptions. So if you bear with me a little, and then in a few weeks you'll get some more announcement there, which are exactly in that direction.
Okay, brilliant. Well, we look forward to hearing that. Now, this week, let's just look at the car market in general. Now, this week we had the very surprising news that Mitsubishi are leaving. They're leaving Europe, and in the UK they sold close to 5,000 cars so far this year, 0.72% of the market. Not a massive player, but also not a tiny player either. As we move further into the 2020s now, do you think we're going to get to a stage where some of the smaller players are going to disappear from the new car market, and it's just going to be the big brands?
Okay, well, I think yes. I saw the news about Mitsubishi, obviously. So I don't know really for the other brands. I think what is for sure is the market is tough. So to be able to really build your long term, you need to be strong. And I think so clearly DS is here to stay. There is no doubt about that. In Europe, in the UK, I mean, the group PSA has invested billions in creating the brand to be the brand that has to be the brand that addresses the premium market globally. So, we have a 6-car product investment plan. We've delivered 2 of these. The DS Night will come soon. You've probably seen as well that it was released yesterday, I believe, that the PSA group results over the first semester are good. So we are turning a profit. So we are 3.7 net operating margin, and still on track to get to our 4.5, which was the roadmap that Carlos Tavares gave. And that has been on the back of, I think, making the right decisions, having a group that has been kept agile with platforms used across 5 brands, as you know, because we've got Vauxhall on board. And we also, let's say, technology proof, because we have the right platforms. So we have now in the market the electrified propositions. We've also released today another news that we are investing into a new platform, which is called the EMPV, so EVMP, which is basically a vehicle modular platform for electric vehicles for the C and the D segment, which will start to deliver vehicles in 2023. So I think, I wouldn't speak for Mitsubishi, of course, but as far as PSA is concerned, we've set the right structure with the platforms. We have the leverage of the power of the group. We're able to invest we've done it, and we're continuing to invest in technologies. So we've got a further step, which is Stellantis. So Stellantis is the future, entity that will be the results of the merger between FCA and PSA Group, which is obviously a great perspective for us, because it's more, the group will be even more solid, even more capable to invest in technologies. And we need those technologies to be brought to DS to stay relevant into the premium sector. So yeah, so we're here to stay, and the group is strong, so we are confident.
What's your goal in terms of sales? Because up to June, or including June, according to SMT figures, you've registered 918 cars compared to 1,800 in 2019. That's roughly a 50% decrease, which virtually every car manufacturer suffered around about between a 45 to 50% decrease. But your market share is still at 0.14%. I mean, in the long term, that's not really sustainable, is it? So what is the goal?
So yeah, the goal is to grow clearly. So as you mentioned, I think we had a strong growth 7 consecutive months in a row until February. So we were one of the fastest growing brands in the UK market. And then the crisis hit, and then we found ourselves at a standstill in terms of volume, like other competitors. So we've kept our market share though, which is not the case for everybody. We've progressed in pretty much all channels, so retail, B2B, Motability. We obviously lost some volumes and market share in the short-term rental part, and we do very little of these volumes anyway. So the short term is impacted as we all. So I think clearly we are not running behind the volumes at all costs for DS, because and we are very clear with our partners about that, because what we want is the volumes to grow through the retailers, so that those who have invested in DS can build a profit in the long term. We are going out of the tactical short-term business in the fleet area, mainly to avoid, to preserve the value of our cars, so the residual values. So we are very cautious. So the goal depends on, for sure we want to build up every time we got a new model. We've got 2 already, the E-Tense, which is the plug-in hybrid DS7 and the full electric DS3 Crossback, are adding up and surfing on those strong markets that we have growing in both, electrification market, which is good. So we count on the S9 to continue to do that, though with obviously the S9 is a big D sedan. We don't have, we have reasonable volume expectations for that car. So, and after that, we will grow with more cars, having a 6-car showroom. So this is what will drive the volumes, rather than, at all costs trying to push for market share.
We had a dealer contact us at the beginning of this week saying that the losses at both of their sites are eye-watering for such a small brand. They've sold 1 new car since the beginning of lockdown. And nearly all of the registrations are through the retail group and daily rental. Now, is that comment unique? And what would you say to that particular dealer and to other dealers who may be experiencing similar slow sales?
Okay, so we are in constant, we are very close to all our retailers. So I know every one of them by his first and second name. 35 is a small group, so it's like a family for us, and we know obviously all the salesmen, and so we are close to the retailers for sure. Given what's happened, and as a result, we've dropped some of our marketing investments. We've frozen them across the lockdown period to protect our company, as have most of the players out there. Not all, but that was our choice. So. Across the lockdown period, we've been hardly, our sales have dropped obviously, and things weren't easy to deliver cars as well, because we couldn't for a period of time. Then we could only deliver cars at home. So it means that part has been quite tough. Though what you're describing, I think, does not reflect the position of the DS retailers today across the board. Obviously, the profit situation is an issue today because of the crisis, but it will be the same across all the brands. And I think it's more vivid with DS because the volumes are still low, right? So what we are working on is, one, rebuild the volume as the market grows. So we are reinvesting now in marketing. That's what we've been doing since the last weeks. We also accelerating our go-to-market through various online solutions, such as the virtual showroom that you were mentioning. And we are getting close to our retailers to help them to market DS to the right audience, because as a new brand, and for a big part of them, premium is also new. So we need to learn collectively how to find those customers who are looking for a status car, which is different from the rest. So they are willing to, make this step towards a new brand in the market. And we have a lot of customers that are interested, but it's mainly about being present ourselves to these customers.
Yeah.
So, and again, the profit of our retailers is absolutely key, because we are investing for the long run. They also know that the current times are tough. I think if you ask to pretty much all of them, they'll tell you that they've invested for the long term with DS. They also need a premium brand in their portfolio of brands. And we know it will take probably 20, 25 years to build this brand. So we will build up. So right now, this is a tough moment for sure, but we are building up. We've got new cars arriving, and we are putting more investments to market our cars.
Yeah. I mean, coronavirus couldn't come at a worse time, really, is it? The brand's 5 years old. At the year 5, you'll probably have had a lot, bigger growth targets than you've got at the moment. And then something like this happens. It's not exactly ideal. But really, though, is it a case of you need to make British buyers more aware of DS? Now, I know you're not chasing volume, and it's difficult to chase brands like BMW and Mercedes, who are selling 45,000 cars with a much larger product range. But is it a case that we Brits, we don't really, we're not aware of the brand, we don't understand it?
Yeah, I think the awareness is clearly, the main hurdle we have to face, because, French cars in the UK have been famous for about, mainly smaller cars. And when you're building DS and you come with a C segment car, SUV, then you're surprising your market. So you need to explain. Then you need to, so I'm sorry, because you probably have some music around, it's the beauty of working in London. So you'll have if you do, then don't be surprised. It's the fun of working at home, right? Basically, when we came to the market with this new proposition, we need to explain it. And we see today, if you ask around, many people yet do not know about DS. So we've been very targeting in the way we've marketing the brand, also to build step by step. And we'll continue to do that. So I think there is a big customer base which is ready to have some new proposition, and we see some of our brands progressing, which are not the main leaders in the premium market. And we have a great proposition. So I think, yes, if you ask even to our retailers, they would probably give you the same answer. It's about getting DS out there and making sure that you can experience what we have to offer. And when you do, then you are actually you jump in. And we've got a great customer base now, which is very proud of being different. We receive pictures of them with their cars. They tell us, I speak often with customers, they tell me, well, people stop me and ask me what's my car. So we still have that, clearly. So it'll take time to build the awareness.
Mm. Now, you're one of the very few brands that can offer such so many electrified products, and of course, as we know, that's going to grow in the future. But talking to people in the industry at the moment, both in new and in the used market, plug-in hybrids and electrified cars aren't that popular at the moment, because people tend to resort to petrols and diesels because they feel comfortable with those. Do you think there needs to be some kind of assistance with brands such as yourselves who are offering electrified products? Does there need to be some kind of government support?
Well, we've been with the SMMT within the work group that worked with the government. I mean, we took our share into the discussions to really make proposition in that way, just to go towards incentivizing the lower emission cars and including electric cars, of course. But I mean, we didn't have much success with it, right? So for the moment, the government decision is not to propose such plans to incentivize the market in the short term, at least. But so we have to make do with that. The thing is, when we look in the very short term, our results are strong. So overall, as Group PSA, so we do not rely on those incentives to make our way through the market. I think it's about getting our cars now to the market. We are trying to offer the best options for customers to lower the threshold. For instance, today we're offering a wall box free of charge if you're a private customer and you're going to us, because we want to help you to make this step towards changing your driving habits. So it's about convincing, and I think we all in this together. Most of the manufacturers are now actively pushing their electrified option, and that's good. I mean, it's good for our customer, it's good for the environment, I'm personally very pleased that this is the way. But yeah, so we'll have to carry that that without the additional government support, but we'll manage.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that, you know, you look at countries like France and Germany who seem to be incentivizing people to go electric. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but when you're asking brands to and car manufacturers to invest so heavily in electrified cars by not sort of helping consumers make that switch, it doesn't really seem to be the right way of going about things, really, does it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, as I said, I think we would definitely, you know, have hoped for something stronger immediately to give a boost, because now is the time as well to support all the industry, manufacturers, but retailers alike, who need to have a, you know, to benefit from a rebound. So yeah, that is acknowledged. Though I mean, we need to make do without, and I think as an industry, we'll keep fighting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wish you the best and keep fighting. We're gonna have to leave it there, I'm afraid, Alain. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been a delightful chat.
Thank you, James. I really appreciate you having me, and again, thank you for your time.
No, thank you very much. Now, if you want to be involved in a Car Dealer Live just like this one, then please do get in touch with me. Email me, james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk. Our next show on Friday, we're going to be talking about used car prices, the topic that seems to get better and better in our world at the moment. And Cab HPI's Darren Martin will be on the show. But until then, thank you very much indeed, and bye-bye.